All right, so here is the 2-minute version of that lecture I just did, showing you exactly what the steps are for getting this null group to work. So to start with, I'm just going to take that waste control out of that null group that I made earlier and just delete that null group. And you can see when I freeze transformations on this control, it goes back to having the same orientation as the world. So if I wanted to have the same orientation as this joint, I'll grab the control, hit Control G to group it to itself. And on that group, I'm going to center the pivot so that the pivot point for that group is up at the joint. And just to make sure, I'm going to hold down D, hold down V, and move it to make sure that the pivot point for that group is snapped to the joint it's controlling. Now I'll middle mouse click and drag to pull that waste control out of that group. So it's not parented to that group anymore. The group's just floating in space. Now I want to grab the rotations of this joint and apply it to that group. So I grab the joint first, Control select that group, and I'm going to go to Constrain and go to Orient Options. Make sure that Maintain Offset is turned off. Hit Apply. And now you can see that that group has taken on the rotations of the joint. So I'll delete that orient constraint. I don't need it anymore. I only needed it for a minute to grab the rotations of the underlying joint. Now I'll rename this waste control null. Then I parent my control back to the null. You can see it's taken on all of these transformations that that group had. When I freeze transformations on the control, it snaps to having the exact same orientation as the underlying joint. So those are the steps. And that's what you're going to be doing for a lot of controls in this rig.